urgent call to worship the Creator at a time when we're basically worshiping everything else. Studies show the average person spends nearly 7 hours daily on digital media. That's practically a form of devotion right there.
Well, that really puts things in perspective when we think about where our attention and allegiance actually go.
And here's what's wild. This message about worshiping the Creator comes at a time when about 60% of younger generations identify as spiritual but not religious. It's like these angels are addressing exactly where we are right now.
Speaking of timing, let's talk about the second angel's warning about Babylon falling. How do you see that playing out in today's context?
Oh my goodness, it's so relevant. Think about it. In just the past few years, we've seen massive institutions crumble overnight. Remember when people thought certain banks were too big to fail? Or how about those social media platforms everyone thought would last forever? The second angel is basically saying all human systems have an expiration date.
That reminds me of how quickly things can shift, like how TikTok went from being just a dance app to literally shaping global culture in less than 2 years.
Exactly. And that brings us to the third angel's message, which is probably the most intense. It's this stark warning about choosing sides. You know what's fascinating? Throughout history, every major spiritual movement has had this moment of drawing lines in the sand.
The urgency in these messages is pretty striking. There's no room for sitting on the fence.
And here's what really gets me right in the middle of all these warnings. There's this beautiful promise about rest for the faithful. It's like finding this pocket of peace in the middle of a storm. The text specifically says, "Blessed are the dead which die in the Lord, for they rest from their labors."
That's such an interesting contrast, intense warnings balanced with deep comfort.
You know what this reminds me of? Those emergency broadcast systems that interrupt regular programming. But instead of testing the system, these angels are delivering heaven's final appeal to humanity. And just like those tests, you can't ignore or skip through these messages.
Well, that's a powerful analogy. These aren't optional updates. You can click remind me later on.
And here's the thing about worship that I think we often miss. It's not just about what happens in religious buildings. The Greek word for worship, proskuneo, literally means to bow down or show reverence. It's about where we direct our deepest devotion.
So in that sense, we're all worshiping something, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. And these messages are calling us to examine what's really sitting on the throne of our lives. Is it our career, our social media presence, our political ideologies? Because something is going to have that top spot.
That's really the heart of it, isn't it? These aren't just ancient messages. They're addressing the core questions of human existence.
And maybe that's where we should leave our listeners today, with an invitation to honest self-reflection. Because in the end, these angels aren't just delivering warnings, they're offering us a chance to realign our worship before it's too late.
That's a powerful way to frame it, not just as warnings, but as opportunities for transformation.
Absolutely right. And you know what? In a world that's increasingly chaotic and uncertain, having this kind of clarity about what really matters might be exactly what we need.